Has he found love? Has he married a German woman? How is dating Germans compared to Americans? We want to hear the juicy stuff. Have you learned any new languages? Are we still friends? Do we still hang out?
Yes, there are two of us, but I guess there are kind of four of us in this room.
There was some talk in the past about potentially for you to want to get German citizenship. So what happened to that? Can you picture yourself moving back to the US at all?
Sorry to disappoint.
You've gone on so many amazing trips.
Hä?
Did you get that? I'm so confused.
Also, ich verstehe nur Bahnhof. You only understand train station? It's all Greek to me.
Understanding Train Station. Living between cultures with Josh and Feli.
Welcome back to a new episode of Understanding Train Station. It's been 2 years, over 2 years.
I really can't believe that. Like, I can't make any sense out of the fact that it's been so long since we've sat together in this room, actually.
It feels like yesterday, but a lot has happened, actually. And that's why we're here today speaking to the audience real quick. Hey, guys.
Yes, hello.
A lot of you guys have messaged me because obviously I've stayed, a public figure in that sense. I've kept my YouTube channel running and everything. But you don't have any public platform at all.
Abgetaucht.
Du bist abgetaucht. And so I've been getting questions over the last 2.5 years. How's Josh doing? Are you still friends with Josh? Is he still in Munich? So we figured now that I'm also back in Munich full time, we can give you guys that update that you've all been asking for. And before we dive in, this goes out to all of you who've been wanting to learn German or any of these languages. Why not get started today?
Der Vorname,
Der Vorname,
der Nachname, Robinson,
die Straße.
die Straße.
With Babbel, you can learn a language conveniently from home, and it'll get you speaking in as little as 3 weeks. Maybe you have a trip coming up that you want to practice the local language for, or you want to reconnect with the language of your ancestors, or you finally want to be able to watch your favorite movie in the original language, or understand your favorite celebrity without subtitles, or improve your career. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait aujourd'hui?
Qu'est-ce qu'on fait aujourd'hui?
Learning a language is always a good idea, and Babbel is one of the top language learning apps in the world. They're actually from Germany. They were founded in Berlin in 2007, so they're quite experienced when it comes to language learning. The lessons are created by real language experts, and they cover everything from useful everyday phrases like ordering a coffee.
Hallo, was hättest du gerne?
Einen Kaffee bitte.
Möchtest du Milch oder Zucker dazu?
Ich möchte ein Brötchen.
Ich möchte ein Brötchen. To complex grammar. What language do you guys want to learn and why? Let me know in the comments below. And to get you one step closer to that goal, I'm giving you guys up to 55% off your Babbel subscription. All you gotta do is scan the QR code or click on the link in the video description below.
I was going to say it's almost like a big reveal, but like it's just life. Like I haven't been hiding, just living life normally as I would, And I'm excited about this episode too, because honestly, I've missed these conversations too. It's something that we talked about in a lot of our episodes, but these are conversations that you don't necessarily have in everyday life. And the podcast for me was always an opportunity to sit down and reflect and look back on all of the things that I've been experiencing, and like, especially now I've lived here for 5 years,
That's crazy.
which is crazy to think about. And for me, it's really special to have, especially those first few years documented.
Yeah.
And be able to look back. And I've used the podcast so many times, like as my fun fact.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like at work, and like, did you know I have a podcast?
Nice.
And it's been fun too at work, like to see people try to find it and then like
really?
send me. Yeah, it feels really good to be back.
Well, I'm glad that we're doing this as well. And I'm sure you guys don't have as many questions for me as you do for Josh, because I've kind of documented the big things in my life recently. But I know that people have been asking me, how are you doing? Do you still live in Munich? What's your job situation? So maybe we can just dive into that right away. How are you doing?
Honestly, I'm doing really well. I feel like looking back on my time in Munich, this past winter has been the best one I've had so far.
Nice.
And I don't know if it's the weather or if it's...
It was a very wintry weather. We had a lot of snow.
Exactly.
It was very cold. Did you like that? Because I would think that this was like a pretty rough winter, so to say.
I think after 5 years in living in a place, well, I think you just need some time to acclimate to the new environment, the new rhythms. Like, obviously, Cincinnati and Munich have very similar weather, but it's different. It hits differently here. It's darker, longer, and I think my body is just used to it. And also like, it sounds so dramatic, but I feel like I have coping mechanisms now of like how to survive the winter. I know what to expect. I know what I need to do to protect my mental health.
Yeah.
Like going skiing, going to the gym, like taking care of myself, meeting up with friends, like all of these things that when the first few years I was here, I didn't really have a game plan, and you can't because you don't know what you're signing up for necessarily. So that's a very personal answer of this has been one of my best winters in my entire time in Munich.
Glad to hear it.
Has been really
Awesome.
nice. And like, other than that, things are going really well. One of the main reasons I think that I decided that I didn't want to continue the podcast at the time was I just was having a lot going on in my life and wanting to focus more on work. And like, it just was a lot of things going on at once. And as much as I love the podcast, being able to kind of focus a little bit more on myself and growing in the areas where I wanted to grow personally and also professionally, like I'm seeing the fruits of that, which is also a really good feeling. So like work is going super well. I'm trying to think, I guess I had probably just started my current job when we stopped the podcast. And since then I've been promoted. Things are going really well. I really enjoy my work that I'm doing as well. I work in revenue operations, and yeah, just personally as well, really having the time to focus. I think, and we've talked about this as well, when you're away from your family, when you're away from the place that you grew up, it brings up a lot of freedoms, but I think it also brings up a lot of maybe awareness of things that you wouldn't be exposed to on the emotional side otherwise. So it's been really a good experience over the last 2 years to have that space to explore kind of who is Josh more on a deeper level, rather than the excitement of, oh, I've been in this new country, I'm figuring things out. It's kind of moved into more of a, okay, this is my new normal.
Yeah. You're out of the honeymoon phase, basically.
Absolutely. And I think like the honeymoon phase looks different. There are different honeymoon phases.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like I'm in a very settled place right now. Which on the one hand is nice, and on the other hand, I'm like, what's the next adventure? So maybe just to tease it, like maybe some of the other questions that I know have been asked. But I would say generally, to answer your question, I'm doing really well, really happy. I can remember also talking to Ben, your husband, for the people who don't know, and I think it was at Oktoberfest, and he said like, Josh, every time I see you here, like you seem better and better. Something along those lines. It might not have been.
I wasn't
like,
there for that conversation.
but it was
I don't
like
think.
you can see that I thrive here compared to back when I lived in Cincinnati, and I would agree with that. Like, feels really good. I've gone back to Cincinnati quite a few times, and of course, it's amazing to be home, see family, spend time with them. But Munich has really become my second home at this point.
Nice. So I think that's a question that a lot of people had. First of all, do you still live in Munich? I think we already just got the answer to
Yes.
that. And do you see yourself staying in Munich, in Germany? And if not, where do you see yourself living in the future?
Yeah. I feel like when I get asked this question, because I feel like I actually get asked it quite often. Normally, I feel when you're a foreigner living in a country,
I mean, same for me.
people
always.
constantly ask you this question, like, do you think you're going to stay? All of these things. My answer normally, and it has been for a while now, is it feels right for the moment. And I don't have anything necessarily keeping me here or drawing me away at this point. So I feel very good about where I am in the moment, but I'm very open to other moves potentially. I could easily picture myself living the rest of my life in Munich.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I could very easily picture myself moving elsewhere.
Can you picture yourself moving back to the US at all? Or is it more within Europe?
More within Europe.
Okay.
For sure. I think, and it would be interesting to hear your perspective if you can relate to this, especially since you've moved back to Germany now. But for me, every time I go home, there's a part of me that thinks maybe I should move back. But that initial reaction is mostly because of family.
Yeah.
And when I picture me living my life in Cincinnati or in the US, I don't see it as fulfilling as my life is here in Europe. So for me right now, the US isn't really a question. Never say never.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of what's happening in the US right now politically as well. I think it's really been eye-opening to have a third-party perspective now living in Germany while viewing what's going on in the US. And I know we normally don't get deep into politics.
There were
in
some
this.
questions about that too, actually.
But it's horrifying. And I really struggle with how to have those conversations with people because it's where I grew up. And I love so many people in the US, like so many of my loved ones are there. But at the same time, the way that things are going, at least with the government, in my opinion, and people obviously are allowed to have differing opinions, but from my point of view, it's really sad to see and experience. And maybe that leads into another part of that question of like, do I see myself in Munich?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm super happy here. There's always been a part of me that has been very attracted to Spain. We've talked about this before. And I'm getting to the point after like 5 years in Munich where I'm like, I think we've talked about this in person or on the podcast even. But when I made my decision to move to Munich, the question I asked myself was, will I regret this if 60 years later in my life, I look back and didn't do it?
Yeah.
And the answer was a clear yes for me. And I'm starting to hear that little voice in the back of my head about Spain.
Yeah.
But who knows? Like for me, it's a crapshoot. I don't know what will end up happening. I'm super open and time will tell.
And that does lead into the next question because a lot of people were curious about your visa status, citizenship status. There was some talk in the past about potentially for you to want to get German citizenship. So what happened to that?
Well, I think technically we have... Yes, there are two of us, but I guess there are kind of four of us in this room in the sense that there are both 2 Americans and 2 Germans in this room now. So yes, I did get my German citizenship.
And I got my American citizenship.
Yeah,
it's kind
I guess
of crazy.
we haven't talked about it, but it's super weird. Like for me, it was always a dream at this point, you know? And when I moved here, it wasn't a possibility because the law hadn't changed to allow dual citizenship. But yes, I got it. It's a really cool feeling. I have to admit, I've walked across, like I've crossed at a red light multiple times now.
Because you feel like now you
I feel
can.
like, what are they going to do? Throw
Well,
me
we're
out?
saying as a pedestrian,
Yes,
right?
as a pedestrian crossing the street on a red light.
Oh, boy.
But honestly, like before, I used to think like, okay, I have to be good.
Right.
Now I'm like,
because you're like on thinner ice, or at least you feel like
exactly,
you are. Yeah.
exactly. Don't tell the Ausländerbehörde. Well, I guess also that was a crazy experience for me. I mean, the difference in my interactions with the KVR, which is more or less like the government office that you have to deal with when you live in Munich, the difference between the foreigners office and the citizens department, crazy.
Really?
Like night and day. Everyone was so friendly in the
Really?
citizen. Yeah.
I will say though, now that we moved back, I've had the same experience where like suddenly the Bürgerbüro KVR that we went to for like our regular registration where you just go to when you move addresses, they were so nice. And that was the first time in my life though. I mean, I've been a citizen in Germany and in Munich my whole life.
Yeah.
They didn't used to be that nice. They used to be pretty, short and annoyed. At least that was the reputation, and that was also my experience for the most part. So I was even surprised. I think they've gotten nicer, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And I will say, the one interaction I've had with the Ausländerbehörde so far, for Ben's sake, because I had to come to that appointment as well, the one person, she was super nice as well. So I think we got lucky in that regard.
I was really upset because like on your ID, you have to say where you were born.
Yeah.
In the US, that's not as common. On most forms, you don't have to write
That's
where
true.
you're
Like
born.
place of birth isn't really something you're ever asked. Yeah.
Ever
Yeah.
in the US. Or like very, very
Rarely, yeah. I don't remember.
So when I first applied for my visa here, I didn't know what to put. So I just put the state that I was born. Because the city I was born in, it's a much more common name. So you would have that city in a lot of different states. Whereas the state is much more specific. So I did that. That was no problem on all of my visas, all of my Aufenthaltstitel, like on my driver's license. It says the state, not the city.
Yeah.
So then when I filled out my application to get my Perso, so like my official German citizen government ID and my passport, I also just put the state. And I brought like nice passport pictures because I knew that this was going to be my picture for 10 years and I wanted it to not be shit. And I submitted everything, and then the next day I got a call saying, you need to come back in because you put the state, not the city.
Okay.
And it was denied by like the passport office because they needed the city, not the state. and they didn't tell me to bring my passport pictures again.
Oh no.
So I had to go back and take my picture at one of those machines.
Oh no, those turn out
It was
terrible.
horrible. I
Yeah.
hadn't like shaved. I didn't do it like my hair
they
the
look
way I
like
wanted.
prison pictures every
I sound
time.
so vain talking about this, but it's true. I was so frustrated.
You were going to have this perfect German passport. Oh man.
So now I have to wait another 10 years or lose my ID. But I'm not planning on losing it anytime soon.
Yeah. That's funny though, because Ben had to also put down his place of birth for the Aufenthaltstitel that he got. And funny enough, he put Florence, Kentucky.
Okay.
Which again, one of those names that,
Yep.
the US just has stolen from other places of the world. And he put it like that.
He put
puts
Florence, Kentucky.
comma, Kentucky.
Ah, okay.
They didn't put the comma Kentucky
No, they
on there. So
wouldn't.
now it just says place of birth Florence, which I feel like is a way more confusing than if they had just put Kentucky. Because like now it looks like he was born in
Exactly.
Florence, Italy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what most Europeans would think.
Exactly.
They wouldn't even know that this is in the US somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't make any sense. I tried to explain it to him and he's like, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
That's funny though. I didn't think about that. So
I mean, it's just
also,
his
like, funny-
Aufenthaltstitel, so I feel like it's fine.
Yeah.
But I was like, why would they do that?
But I guess it normally says your nationality as well.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
Florence,
but still,
USA.
You could still have been born in Florence and be an American citizen.
True,
Like,
true. But how was your experience? So now I've gotten my German.
dude, I feel like we should talk more about yours real quick because I
Okay, yeah.
have a whole video. I'm going to
Okay,
link that
okay.
somewhere below too about like my whole citizenship process. But maybe you can tell us a little bit about what the process was like for you. Like
True.
what made you eligible? And I think you also took the fast path, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
did you have to do for that?
So when I moved to Germany, you had to live in Germany for 8 years and give up your previous citizenship in order to get German citizenship. About a year or so of me living here, there was talk of them changing the law to make it 5 years and to allow dual citizenship. And in cases of extremely an extremely good integration, then you could get your citizenship after 3 years. So that got me really excited. And I think we probably talked about that some in
I think
some
we
of
did,
the earlier
yeah.
episodes. So I applied under the 3-year condition, which meant I needed to prove that I had C1 level of German. I needed to be able to provide for myself financially. And then thirdly, there had to be like an additional Integrationsleistung. So like some sort of something that you did or do that proves that you're well integrated. So that can be volunteering. It can be doing really well at your job. It can be a whole bunch of different things. A lot of that is up to basically the case officer to determine if that's sufficient or not. So I was able to submit a letter from my employer saying, Josh is the best worker we have.
Nice.
No, it didn't say that. But that was my additional Integrationsleistung.
Didn't you also joke about maybe submitting the podcast?
True, I did. Actually, multiple people told me like you definitely should
Or,
at
like,
least mention the fact that you have a podcast.
Have a podcast about the culture and everything, and maybe the episode that we did completely in German that shows that. you had-
Yes, this was when I didn't want to have to take the German.
Oh, the language
exam.
test, yeah.
That was
Because
frustrating. it
C1 isn't even fully like native level.
Yeah, so
And you're at C2, right?
I'm lazy, right? And I knew I only needed C1.
Yeah. So you only took the
And
C1
I only
test?
I just took the C1 exam. I think I could have passed the C2 exam. I don't think that would have been an issue.
That's the native speaker level,
Yeah.
basically, right? For sure you could have passed
I'm
that.
not the thing with these type of tests, and we've talked about this
You
as
have to
well.
prepare
You have to
for them.
prepare for
Yeah.
the test. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to prepare for the test. So the night before my C1 exam,
Because they're like a standardized test, basically, that like, even if you are a native speaker, like even if I took the C2 test tomorrow,
Yeah.
I might not pass it if I don't prepare for the way that the test works. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I took the C1 exam. It was like 250 euros too.
Yeah,
So that's
dude.
why I was frustrated. I was like, can't I just submit
That's
the
how
podcast?
the English tests were too. I mean, I haven't had to take an English test since like 2016. So basically, when I first did my exchange semester, I had to do the TOEFL test, the TOEFL. I don't know how it's pronounced in English, but that also costs like at least 250,
it's
maybe
crazy.
more.
So I got all of my ducks in a row as far as paperwork is concerned, and then submitted my application.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of gambled because I submitted my application technically before the law changed,
Ah, okay.
but anticipation.
But that was allowed?
So this is where we get into a little bit of gray zone
Oh,
of
okay.
how Josh managed here. Nothing was illegal that I did.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, they would have just denied it.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that the processing time for applications was super long. So that's why it was a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
I was gambling that they won't get to my application before the law changes.
Yeah.
which ended up being the case. They
Yeah.
didn't get to my application before the law changed. And then the law changed. And then they still didn't get to my application and still didn't get to my application.
German bureaucracy.
Yes. But finally, it got processed. And yeah, I got my citizenship, which was crazy. It was super weird for me because I had been approved for German citizenship. I was flying to the US like 2 weeks after I got that approval. And I knew I wouldn't get my German passport in time. So I waited until after I returned from the US to get my German citizenship. And it was a fun experience for me, like one last time leaving the US and coming back to Germany as
an
like
American.
a foreigner.
Yeah. So it was, you could pick your like
You got
ceremony.
to choose the date
Yeah.
of the ceremony, exactly. So the way that it works is more or less you get approved and then they give you access to a link to book the actual like naturalization ceremony.
Did you get like a certificate like
Yes.
I did? Okay.
So it's your Einbürgerungsurkunde.
Yeah. That's what I got too.
So your certificate of naturalization.
Yeah.
It was a very weird setup. And I haven't been to an American naturalization ceremony, but I can picture what it would be like just knowing the US.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cute to see the German version. Like when we got there, everyone was just kind of confused. Some people were dressed up, some people weren't. Some people were wearing like Dirndl Lederhosen.
Oh, wow. Where did it take place? At the KVR?
So
or
it took
like
place at like the citizen's office or like the main KVR.
Okay.
And it was in the, like basically where you would get married.
Oh,
Everywhere you-
Standesamt.
Yeah.
Okay.
But before you got to go in, they collected all of your paperwork just one last time. They took your Aufenthaltstitel, reviewed everything, made sure everything was in order, and then you were allowed to enter in. And you just sat there. Some guy in a t-shirt and jeans was just standing at the front, like at the little podium, and he read something not enthusiastically at all. And then he said, by law, this is supposed to be like a celebration. So please clap for your fellow people as we call out their name and they come up and pick up their certificate. And then he took his phone and I swear he just pulled up YouTube and put in German national anthem and played it from his phone. He just set his phone on the podium.
Yep.
So it was like super bad audio quality. It was a little cringe, but it was fun. Then they call you up, you grab your certificate. And once you book your appointment for naturalization, you also are able to book an appointment applying for your Personalausweis and your Reisepass,
Yeah.
your ID and your passport. So I booked them on the same day, like an hour and a half after.
Oh, nice.
So I could just get it all done in one fell swoop.
Oh, perfect. I will say, that doesn't sound that different from the American
Really?
ceremony, because the American ceremony, they didn't even call us up. They just walked through and gave everyone their certificate. There was no
okay.
calling. Well, they did call nationalities at the very beginning. It was kind of like, now everyone from Canada get up. Now everyone from
okay.
Germany get up. And so that's when everyone kind of got like a little bit of applause. I happened to be the only person from Germany, so it was just me getting up.
Yeah.
And they played a speech from the current president, which at my time, I got it in December 2024. So it was still Joe Biden at the time, but the audio, it was on a TV, it was not playing on a phone, but the audio was terrible. It kept cutting in and out. So it was like very
Yeah.
similar to what you're describing.
You're just like, guys, can't we just put a little bit more effort in?
And it was like in this room at the USCIS authority at the location
Yeah.
there. So it was kind of like a classroom.
Ah,
more or
okay.
less. So also not that
So maybe it was
festive.
even better. Maybe the German one.
I don't know.
I'm hating
Have
on
you-
I'm hating on the German version, but I think they held their own with the
I feel
American
like
one,
they
at least.
probably had at least a little bit more patriotism at the American one.
I wanted to ask you, like, how do you feel now having both?
I will say I have not traveled back to the US since I got it, because after I got my
True.
citizenship, the whole year of 2025, all I did was leave the US and I haven't re-entered since. So in a few weeks from now, we're actually flying back to the US, and that will be the very first time that I'm going to be using my US
Yeah.
passport. So that's going to be exciting. And I already booked the flights, and I had to, for the very first time, put in my American passport number and everything. And I didn't even know, like, you know how when you put in your passport number, you usually don't remember it, but it kind of looks familiar because
Yeah.
you've put it in so many times. And this was weird because I was like, oh, I've never seen this number before in my life. I've never put this in anywhere. So that's going to be, I think, the moment where it'll feel different.
Absolutely.
Other than that, it felt really cool when it first happened, and like getting my American passport and everything. That was definitely a moment where I was like, this feels surreal. Like
Yeah.
I have this American passport now, and I have both. I mean, that's just crazy because a lot of people are dual citizens ever since they were born.
Yeah.
And they know how to deal with that. And I never saw myself being a dual citizen ever in my
Yeah.
life. Like growing up, that wasn't something that I ever pictured for myself.
Yeah.
And so having both of those passports definitely felt weird
Mm-hmm.
at first. But other than that, I feel like it hasn't really affected my life all that much yet.
Yeah.
But I will say with the political situation, it made me feel a little calmer that I
Yeah.
had that citizenship.
Absolutely. I remember when I saw in my passport, my German passport, the first time it said nationality German, like Deutsch. I was like, this is fake. Like this feels fake.
Like I'm not
Like,
German,
this is,
yeah.
like, I know it says it. It just doesn't feel right. And like
Yeah.
I felt like a little bit like, what is it? Jason Bourne from the Bourne Identity, like walking around with like 12 different passports. Like I'm like, I swear I'm not lying. Like this was
Like
legally obtained.
Imposter syndrome kind of.
Absolutely. But then on the more serious note, without wanting to catastrophize or take things to an extreme, it does feel nice to I have like options.
Yeah, for sure. And the reason why, like way back, I don't know, 20 minutes ago, I said this ties into the previous question is because you said you might want to move to Spain at some point.
Yeah.
As a EU citizen, you can technically live
Absolutely.
anywhere in the EU, right? Which opens up a lot of opportunities.
Definitely. I think in many ways, I feel like I've become very German. And I feel extremely comfortable here. Like, I remember I was coming back from the Netherlands once, and I was on the train, and I'd been there, like, I'd been traveling for, like, I think 2 or 3 weeks at that point. And then we crossed the border into Germany, and I was like,
Home.
like home. Like, I feel like at home here. But at the same time, like, it's really nice to have that European wide, like, not only the German citizenship, but a European citizenship.
Yeah.
And I think at some point I'll probably take advantage of the fact that I'm able to now easily move within the EU. Don't know what that'll look like, but
Yeah.
that's how I feel.
Well, maybe we're going to have to do another podcast episode once that's
Well,
the
yeah,
case.
we'll see. We'll see.
Or maybe I can visit you in, I don't know, Barcelona or wherever you're going to end up and bring a camera and we can record something there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. There was one topic that a lot of people were very interested in.
Okay.
Someone asked, has he found love? Has he married a German woman? And someone asked, how is dating Germans compared to Americans? We want to hear the juicy stuff.
Ooh la 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 la. Obviously, some of these people who ask these questions either haven't heard all of our episodes or are just new listeners.
In that case, welcome.
Welcome to this very special episode. I guess starting with, have I found a German wife? Sorry to disappoint, but I don't think I'll ever find a German wife. Not necessarily on my radar. I have been looking for a husband, but haven't found him yet either. So
However, though, you haven't really been dating that many Germans, right?
no, surprisingly not. And I'm very open to dating Germans.
Yeah.
However, and then this kind of gets into that question of what are the differences between dating Germans and dating Americans. I also actually don't have a lot of experience with dating Americans. Like, I wasn't really out in the US for a significantly long period of time where I
True.
was going on dates with people.
Like a year or
Yeah, about a year, I'd
Yeah.
say. And I had a boyfriend for like a few months, but like nothing that was really long lasting. But I can talk about like interactions in the sense of like how easy it is to talk to Germans versus Americans. I think that is the biggest difference. And this is probably why I've struggled to find maybe a German. I was in a relationship here in Munich for about a year, I think while we were doing the podcast, to someone from the Balkans. So very different cultural group than where I'm from and
Yeah.
also Germany. So that was an interesting experience as well. But I think also people tend to be more open in Southern Europe. And that's sometimes what I struggle with dating Germans is it... Gosh, I don't want to use words like bland, but like...
We can take it. We can take it.
So I was talking to some colleagues today at work exactly about this. I went to an event actually recently. It's called Love at First Slide, where your friends can pitch you as a potential like person to date. And some
It's
of
like
my
a
friends-
dating show kind
Yes, it's like a live dating show. It was really fun. It was the best. I got 3 new Instagram followers,
Oh, nice.
all of them lesbian.
That's not super helpful. Maybe you guys can be friends.
Exactly. I said maybe they can find someone
Yeah.
for me. But I was talking to my colleagues about this, that at this event, in between the presentations, the idea is that you mingle and talk to people. But everyone stayed with themselves. And like, I went up to this one group and just was like, screw it. I'm not really attracted to anyone in this group, but like, I just want to get out and talk to people, break the ice a little bit. And I asked it like 1 or 2 questions and I got 1 or 2 answers. And I think that
sounds about right.
And I think that sums up what it's like to go on dates with Germans or try to start something maybe flirtatious or romantic with Germans. Is it's actually something that can be very endearing and really nice. I would say once you have some sort of foundation in the sense of like, okay, I asked you a question, I'm going to get an honest answer. But it makes it the barrier to entry really difficult for someone who comes from a culture like the US, where if I ask you a question, I'm going to give you an answer and a story.
For sure.
And
a follow-up question and something to connect over. Yeah.
Exactly. The way my German colleagues today just either they were joking, I don't think they were, but they were like, I don't see the issue with that. You asked me a question, maybe you're asking bad questions. I'm like, no, like I need something to work with. And I was like, it's like fishing, right?
Yeah.
If you want to catch something, you need to throw something out there for the fish to grab onto.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I feel like your average German doesn't do as much.
Is that the same on dating apps too? Is it harder
yeah.
there as well? Okay.
I would
Because I
say
always
so.
feel like writing, when it's talking over the phone, Germans tend to just get really deep and very real very quickly. And then they enjoy actually talking about something, real, quote unquote. They'll ask you about your values or how do you view the political situation. But has that also been tricky?
Yeah, I would say so. I think, and it just is a matter of my cultural background and how it's different from Germans. But the way that I get, how can I say, like I can warm up to someone is a little bit of playfulness at the beginning and a little bit of banter back and forth. Yeah. And that's something that Germans don't tend to do. Even when texting, they'll show interest, but it gets very serious very quickly. And that is boring to me. I enjoy the serious conversation at some point, but I need some playfulness around it. And Germans might call that fluff and disingenuous. Yeah. And if you want to talk about the serious stuff, let's talk about like the serious stuff. But that's just not who I am. Yeah. So I would say I had an experience when I went back to the US. I went out with some friends and we were at a bar and we started, like my dad was with us and he asked the people next to us one question. And then all of a sudden our entire groups were talking to each other, everyone making fun conversation, having a nice time. Yeah. And I realized like, okay, it's not me. And I was talking to another American at this event last night. We were saying the same exact thing. Like, it just is so much effort to try to pull like conversation out of people here.
Yeah, I mean, in German, we literally say, jemandem alles aus der Nase ziehen, right?
Exactly.
Pull everything out of their nose because you ask a question and you just get one word answers.
Exactly. And I think at least the way that it has impacted me is that it's made me question myself more, like doubt myself. And then through these experiences of going back to the US, I'm like, no, like it's not me.
It's not you.
It's just me in this context. Yeah. And that has helped.
Now, of course, especially for the new people, I want to put a disclaimer here and say, okay, we have just been generalizing Germans and German small talk and German culture. And that's kind of a disclaimer that goes for all of the podcast episodes, pretty much all of my videos as well. Yeah. When we generalize like that, the disclaimer that, of course, this doesn't apply to every single German is always implied. None of the generalizations that we make here are ignorant. Like, we know that those are generalizations and we're just making them kind of because it makes the conversation a little bit easier. We just give each other something to work with, basically. But of course, there are Germans who are good at small talk. It's just not that many.
Some of the funniest people I know are Germans. Yeah. Like, it's obvious, like you said, it is an overgeneralization. Yeah.
But I totally relate to it.
Like, overwhelmingly, it's true.
Yeah.
But like, as far as the dating life is concerned, single, and we'll see what comes from here,
Hey, if anyone's interested, leave a comment, I guess.
Yeah, we'll be in the comments. One other question I had for you, and I'm trying to think timeline. Have you gotten a chance to vote as an American yet?
No, I missed it. But I will definitely be sure to vote in November for the midterms. But I haven't had that experience yet. Oh, yeah. But you have. That was something that I was going to ask you. Because we just had local elections. Or how do you say Kommunalwahlen?
Yeah, local elections.
Elections here in Munich. Well, actually, I think all places in Bavaria had their local elections where they elect
Bavaria and Baden-Württemberg that both had them.
where you elect the mayor and then the city council. And you said you voted for the first
I
time.
did. It was super weird. Again, it feels like a little fake.
Did you go in person or did
I did.
you? Okay.
I specifically didn't get an absentee ballot because I was like, this is my first time voting in Germany. I feel like I need to go in person and like have the experience. So I went. First of all, I thought it was really cool that all EU citizens are allowed to vote
in the local elections.
Elections. So all my roommates who are EU citizens also were able to go, even if they're not German. So that was really cool. And we went together and we all voted.
Nice.
Very different.
Yeah? How so? Because I've never voted in the US, so I can't tell.
Well, in the US, you get like your normal sized piece of paper with a whole bunch.
I love how you said normal size piece of paper.
Wait, Feli. You know what I'm getting
Oh, yeah,
at.
yeah, for sure. I know what you're hinting at.
Insane how big the piece of paper. First of all, so the US, boring. All you do, you fill out your little bubbles.
But it's like a letter-sized paper?
Yeah, it's like
okay.
A4, but not A4. It's the
Yeah.
US letter size, exactly. And maybe you fill out like a few of those pages and you have all of your different candidates for all of the different offices that are up for election.
Quick in-between question. What was your usual polling location in the U.S.? Was it also like a school?
Yeah,
Okay.
Normally it's like a school, sometimes at churches.
Okay. Because, I mean, it's also
Libraries.
often schools here.
Libraries as well.
Okay.
I remember when Hillary and Trump were up for the presidential election, I was still going to UC and went to the public library there to vote. That was my polling location. So in the US, you just fill out, it's a piece of paper with a whole bunch of different candidates because you don't really have party lists that you're voting for. That's not a thing. You vote for every single individual candidate. Here, there were 3 elections that I was voting for, that all of us were voting for. You get one for the mayor, which is one paper. Then you get one for the city council. And then you get one for like your even more local, what is it? Bezirksrat, right? Bezirksausschuss or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Basically, it's
I
like
don't know what that is
your
in English.
neighborhood even more. Those 2 made sense. The first and the third were normal size. The one for city council was bigger than the table that was provided to me to vote at.
Yep. It was, for those of you watching, it was literally like, I don't know, this wide.
It was
like
it was
literally
longer-
stretching out your arms. Yeah.
It was wider than my wingspan.
Yeah.
Which was ridiculous. And you
tall
have
as well.
80 votes that you're allowed to distribute. Crazy.
But you can also just vote for one party list where basically you just
Exactly.
vote for the party and then the party has already predetermined who's on their list, like who they nominated in first place, second place, third place, and then however many
Exactly.
seats the party gets, they just give it to those people in order. But yeah, you could individually distribute your vote, plus you could also give certain people more, like up to 3 votes per
Yeah.
person.
It's so complicated. They sent a letter with like a cartoon
Yeah.
explaining how it works, which was actually really helpful.
Yeah.
But you feel a little ridiculous if you go and open up this big piece of paper and let's say you just want to vote for the party list.
Right.
You just put one little X on the party list and,
And then you
fold
close it back up. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, Germans also find this ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's not just an American perception.
Yeah.
We agree with you. That was crazy. I didn't do a mail-in ballot, but I know a bunch of people did mail-in. And so then you can just spread it out on the floor
Yes.
at home and do it that way. But I also went in person and yeah, same thing. We just had these tiny tables and then like the, how do you say, like
A privacy screen thing.
yeah. And I had to put half the paper up to like get through the list. And then for a moment, I was like, shit, I don't know how this folds back
It
together.
was really difficult to fold back together.
It's like when you try to fold like a blanket or something back in the exact same pattern that it was.
Absolutely. But no, it was a really cool experience. And it really makes you feel like you're part of the community when
Yeah.
you have a voice.
For sure. It was cool for me too. I also went in person for that same reason. I live in a neighborhood now that I've never lived in before and I wanted to kind of see. It was at like a local school there and I had always known of the school because like if you go to school in Munich, you just, I think that's the same in all places.
Yeah.
You just kind of know of the other
I'm
schools.
so
and
oblivious to all of the schools in Munich.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. I mean, I mostly knew the like Gymnasien because I mean,
Yeah.
German school system is complicated and you have the 3 levels. So I mostly knew the other schools in like my level. And I think it's the same. If you went to a Realschule, then you mostly know other Realschulen usually.
Yeah.
But I knew of this school and I had never been inside and I was just really curious what it
Yeah.
looks like inside. Someone asked, what have been the favorite trips that you've taken since you moved here?
Yeah.
And then also someone asked if you've learned any new languages because people know that you speak
Yeah.
not just German and English, but a good amount of languages.
Yeah. That's so hard to choose.
You travel a lot. I mean, that basically answers the question.
Yeah. I
You've
do
been
a lot of
traveling a
travel,
lot.
especially this past year. When I first moved here, it was in the middle of COVID. So the American mind that I had was like, oh my gosh, I'm so close to all of these cool places, but I can't travel anywhere. So
Yeah.
I felt like a caged animal to a certain extent. So since I've been able to travel now again for the last few years, I've done a lot of travel.
Especially within Europe, right?
Yeah, and luckily my friend group is very international, so I've gotten to go to like people's home countries, home villages even,
Such
which are
as?
like I think of like near Compiègne in France, going into the countryside there, which was super cool. A friend of mine, her family has a house in the countryside in France, like between Dijon and Lyon. And spent like a week in summer there with like at the pool in the countryside,
Yeah.
riding our bikes in the morning,
Yeah.
going to like a wine tasting in the afternoon, like super, super nice experiences. I think of the trips that I've gone on with my mom and my dad when they've come to visit. I went with my mom and we did a tour of kind of northern Italy, went to Cinque Terre, which was super, super cool. One of my best moments of like, there are moments in life where you're like, everything is just right in this moment.
Yeah.
And we were sitting in one of these small villages that's right on the water. And we had to hike up to this like place to have a aperitivo. And it was looking out over the Mediterranean, drinking my Aperol Spritz, eating my aperitivo stuff. It just was amazing.
And with your mom.
With my mom.
Yeah.
Exactly. It just was like, this is a perfect setup right now.
And she probably wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for you.
Oh no. I think she would always dream of it, but probably it wouldn't happen if I didn't live here. Another like really cool experience I had was King's Day in the Netherlands. I'm not sure. Have you been to King's Day?
Mm-mm.
It's super cool. So Amsterdam in general is cool as a city, and King's Day is all throughout the Netherlands. But I went with some friends to the Amsterdam King's Day, and all of the canals are basically filled with boats.
Oh, nice.
And everyone dresses up in like orange, and it's basically just a big street party all day long. And like there are different DJs set up in people's like front porches all throughout the city.
that's
It's
so
just like
cool.
a big, big party, which was a really cool experience. I mean, I've gone to Paris a few times. I lost my job at some point. I think maybe we talked about it a little bit. Maybe I was a little bit more guarded with that information at the time. It was part of like a tech layoff that took place at where I was working.
So this was before your current job?
Yes, before my current job. And I was off, but got paid for 4 months. So I did like a either 2 or 3 week, I forget how long, trip through Spain by myself, which was incredible. Like the south of Spain, so cool. Like Granada, Sevilla, 100%. If you get a chance to go.
Yeah. I think that answers the question pretty well because you've gone on so many amazing trips.
And like I also am really lucky that the company I work for, we have offices all throughout Europe, and my team is spread throughout Europe. So we do different team events in different cities. So I've gotten to go to Dublin with work. I've gotten to go to Berlin with work.
Awesome. I know you also went to Madeira one time, to Portugal.
Yeah, exactly.
Not for work, but
I've
unrelated.
been to Porto. I've been to Madeira. Amazing experiences. I don't know what else to say besides like amazing.
Yeah, he's been doing everything right.
Yeah.
People.
And I still live in the same VG. Like,
Oh yeah, that was another question that people had. What about your roommates? Because we had some of your roommates from the first VG and then from your current VG, some roommates on the podcast.
Yeah.
I think none of those roommates currently still live with you. Or...
One of them does. Lachlan.
Oh yeah, he was on. I forget that he was on the podcast. Yeah.
Lachlan, the Australian, and I still live
Right.
together. Everyone else has changed since then, but we're still very much in contact.
Yeah,
I'm
they've become some of your best friends. Right?
Absolutely. I'm going to London in a week and a half to hang out with them.
Yeah. Wait, who's in London, Chloe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
She was on the podcast.
Yeah, so the two French
Chloe
girls,
and,
the
Letty
two
were
French
both-
girls
yeah.
that we did Chloe and Letty.
Yeah.
Chloe now lives in London. Letty lives in Berlin. So that also contributes to my traveling.
Yep.
Is going to see friends.
That's awesome. Have you learned any new languages?
Have I learned any new languages? Yine. I haven't like put a ton of effort into getting it to the level where I feel like I would like to have any of my languages. So I'm obviously English, German, Spanish, still very good. My Spanish has gotten a little worse.
Because you just
I
don't,
just don't
speak it as much. Yeah. Do you have any
will
Spanish-speaking
say,
person in
though-
your like circle?
So, not like, in my circle somewhat.
Okay, but you had like French a lot more.
Exactly. I had a period there where I had a lot of French influence,
Yeah.
French and Italian, I would say. So French has gotten there for a while. It was pretty good. And I can still communicate if I have to. Enough to impress the Germans, you know, like, and I think also I'm not afraid to try to speak and make a fool of myself.
Yeah.
So that makes it sound more impressive than it is.
Yeah.
And then because of my French and my Spanish and just the exposure that I have to Italian, I feel like I have a good grasp of Italian, especially listening. And if I have to speak, I can make myself understood. I lived with an Italian for 3 years.
Yeah.
He was one of my roommates, and his mom came and visited. She didn't speak any English.
Oh, wow.
She only spoke Italian, and he was sleeping in, and it just was me and her who were awake at the time. So we had to communicate. So
Yeah.
I was like speaking a mixture of Spanish and changing it to try to sound more
Right,
Italian.
like the endings. And yeah.
Exactly. And we had like a 20-minute breakfast together, talking about deep topics about like anxiety of the world and all of these things. So
Wow,
it's
yeah.
good enough, but it's not like real Italian. And then I can speak some Croatian as well now. That was a language I learned from the relationship I had. But yeah, so like Serbo-Croatian. Don't hate me, whatever you guys want to call that language. It's, I know, very contested. Serbo-Croatian, Bosnian, whatever. So yeah, that's, I would say, my language journey at the moment.
For me, we already talked about my citizenship. Another thing that we kind of mentioned, but not specifically, I got married also.
True. Oh my gosh. You know, just a little thing called marriage.
Yeah, so that's
wild.
That's, I guess, a big step. And I moved, but you guys already picked up on that if you haven't already figured that out from following my channel. But
Yes.
yeah, basically, for those of you who don't follow my channel, I got my American citizenship in December of 2024, so a little over a year after we ended the podcast. Then I got married in July of 2025 to Ben, which we also have an episode with him.
Yeah.
I'm going to link that somewhere. And he also shows up on my channel quite a lot now. And then him and I moved back to Germany, to Munich, in September of 2025. So that's kind of been the big milestones in my life, I guess. We still have our house in the US. We are currently renting it out because it's not a permanent move as of right now. It's kind of, again, one of those things where we're kind of like,
How are
let's
you?
see.
I was going to say, I think, and obviously share as much as you want to, but how is that going so far? Like, you originally said you were planning on maybe coming for a year.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling this far in at this point?
Right now, I think we're both thinking definitely longer than a year because it's already been 6 months.
Yeah.
And to us, it feels like 2 days. Like, where has the time gone? And we knew, like most people have said from the beginning, like, oh, a year is going to fly by like nothing. You're going to regret that. But at the same time, that's kind of why we planned it like that. We rented something in Munich for a year. We put a year on the lease in the US on our American house so that if things don't go well and if I get terribly homesick for the US or Ben is doing terribly, he's never lived abroad before, that we have that option to go back.
Yeah.
And we don't feel trapped here and we don't feel like, great, now we sold everything and we moved our lives here permanently and now what? So that was kind of the whole idea of this move, was that it would feel more like the way I felt when I first came to the US, where I just was there for an exchange semester and then I liked it.
You
and I
can
wanted
decide to
stay.
stay rather than feeling like you have to
Exactly. And I didn't want that pressure on him or on us in general, and even for myself. I mean, there are a lot of things that I miss about the US.
Yeah.
And I don't generally see myself living in Germany from now on till I die. I feel like there will be, that's the same that I've always said about Germany. Now I don't know, will I ever move back to the US permanently? Will I move back to the US temporarily? I feel like one of the two will be the case unless the situation in the US changes to a point where I don't feel safe doing that. That's a different story. But if everything is safe in the US and I feel like I have the option, then I feel like there will be a time again where I will live in the US.
Yeah.
But right now, I think we're at the point where we're probably going to sign another lease for another year. We haven't done that yet, though. So who knows? Maybe things will change in the next few weeks or months. But that's kind of where we're at right now, I think.
Yeah, makes sense.
Also, just because it's been so short. And Ben has taken a language class.
Yeah.
It was one intense 5-week language class, but that was kind of just the beginning of the language learning journey. And he doesn't feel like he's done in Germany yet. Er hat Deutschland noch nicht durchgespielt. He has to, get settled a little bit more. Also, he has kind of just started to get clients here and everything. And
building a life takes time.
yeah.
But the way that you guys have done it, like you said, it kind of matches, I think, both of our ways of of existing between our two countries.
Keeping like all the options
when
open.
when I first moved to Germany, I always thought, or what I told at least my family, I thought I would probably end up here a little longer. But I was like, I'm committing to 2 years.
Yeah.
And then we'll see.
Right.
And you guys committed to the 1 year. And now you're seeing. And I think that's a really freeing approach.
I think so too. And of course, financially, probably would have been smarter to just make a decision one way or the other. But even now after 6 months, I don't know. I wish I could live in both countries. I wish I could spend a week here and a week there.
Yeah.
And that's probably how I'm going to feel for the rest of my life. So we're just going to have to make decisions together as a couple for the next foreseeable future. And then probably that can also change from time to time.
Absolutely.
We'll
and
see.
I think, in my opinion, very healthy way of doing things, you know?
Yeah, I hope so. I will say the expensive part, for example, is we have a storage unit in the US that has some of our stuff in it that
might
we
get
pay monthly for.
That gets old. At least with you have rental income, not
Yep,
the...
that's true. But also another thing, we're currently leasing a car, which of course, like financially speaking, is kind of like money that you're throwing away because you're not investing in the car. Purchasing a car is usually a little bit smarter, but I didn't want to commit to purchasing a car. So those are just it's a little bit more of a financial burden if you don't pick.
Of course.
Other than that, it feels great to us. And it's going to be interesting for us visiting the US for the first time in a few weeks here.
My gosh.
Because we will be staying with Ben's parents.
Ah.
And there's tenants in our house, right?
Wow,
We're going to
true.
visit the house, though, because we're going to also check on the yard as the owners. Is there any yard work we need to do? We're also going to hope that we can just check the inside and see if everything's okay. And, also just get some of our stuff from the U.S. that we have left there that we now realized, maybe we need that after all. But yeah, going to the house is going to be...
That'll be weird.
Weird. Yeah.
That'll be very weird.
Yeah.
It was weird. I didn't drive past your house.
Oh.
But like really close, like basically your neighborhood. And I was like, oh, wait, Feli and Ben don't live here.
Yeah,
like,
it's weird.
It's very weird.
I just remembered one last question that we didn't answer. I think it's kind of implied in this episode, but people were asking, are we still friends? Do we still hang out?
No, not at all. No.
And
She's paying me to be here right now. No.
I will say we don't hang out quite as much anymore.
No.
I think that's the case for me with most of my friends, that I don't hang out with them as much as I used to in my early 20s.
Yeah.
But we've definitely seen each other several times since we
Absolutely.
moved here. We're trying to see each other more.
Well, and also I would say, not just since you moved here, but every time I was in the US, we would hang
Literally.
out at least once.
Yeah.
And every time you were here, we would see each other at least once.
Yeah.
So we're definitely still friends and we definitely are still definitely in contact. But I mean, we lived for how many years in different cities from each other? In different countries?
4, right?
Yeah. So we both have our lives.
Yeah.
But we still have our friendship that we come
we're
back
still
to.
friends. We didn't end the podcast because we weren't friends anymore or anything
Absolutely
like that.
not.
I will say, of course, our friendship has definitely changed a little bit after the podcast, in the sense that we didn't have that 2-week catch up, or
Exactly.
that, as you said earlier, it almost felt like reflecting on your life a little bit. It almost was like a little therapy session every 2 weeks that we haven't really had in the last 2.5 years.
Absolutely.
And therefore also I have not gotten as many updates from your life, and you haven't gotten as many updates from my life, because we don't have that set date every 2 weeks where we kind of have to talk.
Yeah.
But we've seen each other every time that we've been in the other country. So yeah, we're still friends, guys. Okay, now I think we can wrap it up, but I almost forgot this
now
question.
we can end the friendship. No.
Now we can end the friendship.
It's been super nice I feel like we just got back into the swing of things, you know? Like it putting on, what's the saying? I'm so bad with sayings. There's like a saying about like the glove just fit right back on or something along those lines. Help me out in the comments, because it just has felt really good to be back and talk about these things. And it's crazy to look back and see how much we both have experienced in the time since.
It feels like nothing has happened since then, but then when you think about it, actually a lot of things have happened.
Yeah.
Pretty cool milestones, I would say.
Absolutely. I mean, to think when we started our podcast, we were both living in Cincinnati, both with our one citizenship.
Yep. I was living in a college house. That's where we started recording. I had kind of just started to do YouTube full time.
Yeah.
And I remember when we first recorded, like the first, second, third episode, I had a broken wrist. So that was fun.
True.
I was sitting there with my cast.
Wow. We've lived a lot of life since then.
I also didn't know Ben at the time.
Wild.
So I met him after that. I didn't officially have a cat yet. She already lived at the house, but she wasn't officially mine yet.
Okay.
My
Yeah.
life was so different. It's crazy. To those of you who've submitted the questions, thank you guys so much. I hope we answered most of them. And of course, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to put them in the comments. We're not making any promises, I don't think.
Yeah.
But never say never.
Never
Who
say
knows?
never.
Maybe we'll make another little update episode at some point and then we can go back to those questions. Or we'll also try to be in the comment section. If it's an easy question, we can just respond real quick to your questions. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Is there anything else you'd like to...
I didn't prepare for this moment.
I feel like it's your platform because people hear of me all
Yeah.
the time and they don't hear from you as much
is
because
true.
you're just
This is true.
even your personal social media. I can tell you guys that he posts like
Nothing.
once a year.
Honestly, yes. I really appreciate the community that we have with this podcast too. Like looking back as well, like the Patreon community that we had and the calls with them. And thanks for all of your questions that you guys asked and that you showed so much interest. It's really like
People care about you.
it's really weird from my perspective because I don't spend a lot of time like posting things on social media or following all of that. But to know that people really enjoyed the podcast when we had it going and still are interested in hearing from us and care about what is going on, at least in my life, is really nice. So really thank you all.
Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. And I hope I'll see you next time. Or
Cheers.
We hope we'll see you next time.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers. I remember what it used to always be. It would
What?
be about Patreon and all of that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Follow us there. Well, we still have those platforms. You probably shouldn't follow us there because nothing will be posted.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I would not recommend it.
all right. Over and out.